Hello students. In the last session we have discussed what is hardness and what are the different types of hardness test methods we are having. So in that one we have listed out different hardness testing methods. In that one we are having Brinell hardness test, Vickers hardness test and Rockwell hardness test. Later we have discussed what is Brinell hardness test and how the test can be performed. These things we have discussed in the previous session. So in today's session, we are going to discuss how to perform Vickers hardness test and later how to perform Rockwell hardness test and what is B scale and what is C scale. And later we will discuss introduction to non-destructive testing methods. So coming to the next method of hardness test, that is Vickers hardness test. If you see the Brinell hardness test is very useful only for soft materials because there we are using steel ball indenter. So by using steel ball indenter, we are unable to find hardness of hard materials. So if you want to find out hardness of hard materials, you have to go for Vickers hardness test. So why it is useful for harder materials? Because if you see these points, here if you see the points, why we can use this one for harder materials? It can be useful for smaller cross section and it can be useful for surface hardened elements and is also useful for very high hardness materials. So why we can apply for small cross section materials and surface hardened materials? That means the core may be soft but the surface may be hard material. So for such materials also we can use this Vickers hardness test. And specimen having very high hardness and materials having high hardness also can be tested by using this Vickers hardness test. So why we can do all these things by using this Vickers hardness test? Because here we are using a diamond indenter. Okay, so here we are using a diamond indenter. We all know that diamond is a hardest material compared to all materials. So such that we can use this diamond indenter to test the hardness of very hard materials also. If you see the next points, how the diamond indenter will look like. If you see here, so how the diamond indenter will look like and what is the shape of that indenter we will discuss in this slide. If you see here, if you see the diagram, I will show you. See here, if you see this one from see, this is the shape of the diamond indenter. And if you see this angle, how much angle you are having this one. I will show the angle also. If you see this one, from here to here, how much angle? It is 136 degrees, 136 degrees between the opposite faces. So here you are having a sharp corner. So you are having a sharp pointed edge here. So that's why we can use this one for small cross sections also. And we are using a diamond indenter. So diamond is very hard material. So we can use this one for testing of hardness of hard materials. So in this way, this uh, is having some advantage compared to your Brinell hardness test. So how much angle between the faces? Opposite faces, it is 136. So you should remember this value, 136 degrees between the opposite faces when you use the diamond indenter. So what is the shape of that indenter? I will show you. See this one. So if you see here, it is a quadrangular pyramid. So you are having four faces and you are having those four faces are joined with a sharp point here. If you see quadrangular pyramid, if you see here, so you are having four faces only here in this view. You are visible only two. If you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 faces are joined here. That means joined here. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, 4 phases are joined here. See here, at this point, those faces are joined. So this is the top view you are seeing, this is the front view you are seeing. Okay. So, and it is a quadrangular pyramid. So four faces are there and the shape is pyramid shape. So those faces are joined at a single point. So because of single point joining, we can use for small cross-sectional area materials. If you see here, this is the area of cross-section here, and you can have this much area of cross-section also. So that's why we can use this indenter for very small cross-sections also. We are using this indenter because of that advantage. We can use Vickers hardness test for smaller cross-sectional area materials. So what we have to do? What is the procedure? So as usual, we have discussed in the Brinell hardness test. Same thing. So first, what you have to do? You have to prepare the specimen, and you have to keep the specimen under the anvil, and later you have to apply them. You have to move the specimen such that it should touch the indenter, and later you have to apply the load. When you apply the load, what will happen? If you see here, I will show you it clearly. If you see here, what is happening? This indenter penetrate into the material. So this much penetration will occurred here. This much penetration occurred here. So because of, if you see the top view, you will get this view. So from the top, you will get like this. And if you from the front, if you see, you will see like this. So when you apply the force, what is happening? The indent is penetrating into the material. Because of that one, you are getting indentation. So this is the shape of the indentation from the top view, and this is the shape of the indentation from the front view. Okay, and based on that indentation, we will measure the pyramid hardness number. Okay, so how to find out the pyramid hardness number? I will show you. If you see here, see, this is computerized Vickers testing machine. If you see here, you are having a machine here and it is connected to computer. So when the test is performed here, you will have a indentation, and that indentation measurements can be measured here. And if you see here, see what is the tool we are using and how to calculate the hardness number. If you see here, a polished square based pyramid diamond tool, already we have discussed. So which type of tool we are going to use? We are using a tool. Which type of tool we are going to use? We are using a tool of material diamond, and the shape is quadrilateral pyramid. Okay, quadrangular pyramid we can say. Okay, quadrangular pyramid means you are having 4 faces and they are joined at a single point in the pyramid shape, and the angle between the opposite faces is 136 degrees. Okay, you should remember what is the material? Diamond. What is the shape? Quadrangular pyramid. And what is the angle between the faces? It is 136 degrees. Faces means opposite faces. So how much angle between the opposite faces? It is 136 degrees. These three points we should remember while explaining this Vickers hardness testing. So what is the material of the indenter you are using? And what is the shape of the indenter? That is nothing but quadrangular pyramid. And what is the angle between the opposite faces of the pyramid? That is 136 degrees we have to take. So the tool under the gradual load and makes an impression on the specimen. So as usual, so what we have to do, first we have to touch the indenter to the specimen, and later we have to apply the load. When you apply the load, what will happen? You will get some indentation or impression. So the load should be applied gradually. That means the load should be increased slowly. So the load when divided by the area of indentation will gives the DPN, pyramid hardness number. So what you will get? You will get a pyramid hardness number when you divide the load by this area of indentation. Divided by, if you divide the load by area of indentation, you will get the DPN value. What is DPN value? DPN is nothing but pyramid hardness value. So in the Vickers hardness test, we have to find out DPN value, which gives the uh, uh, hardness value for that material. So in this one, what we have discussed? We have discussed how to perform the test and what is the which type of indenter we are going to use. So just you remember, we are using a diamond indenter, that is the material is diamond. And what is the shape? It is quadrangular pyramid. What is the angle? The angle is 136 degrees between the faces, opposite faces of the pyramid. Okay, you may have surrounding faces, but we have to take the angle between the opposite faces. So that angle should be 136 degrees. And later, what we have to do? We have to touch the indenter to the specimen, and later we have to apply the load gradually. When the required load is applied, what you will get? You will get some impression. Based on that impression cross section, we have to find out the DPN value. What is a DPN value? DPN is nothing but pyramid hardness number. So how you will get this DPN number? If you divide the load by area of cross section of the impression or your indentation. So you are getting an impression or indentation. You have to find out the area of that indentation, and you are applying the load. You know that load value. So that load divided by this area of indentation gives the DPN value. DPN is nothing but pyramid hardness number. So you should remember what is DPN, how to get that DPN. And coming to the next point, see, what is the formula for DPN? How to calculate the DPN value? Okay, so by substituting the area, all these values, okay, so what is the generalized formula for DPN? It is the load by area of indentation. So if you substitute load is P, and if you find out the area where theta is that from that one you will get from the indentation. Okay, so here angle between the opposite faces, how much? It is constant, that is 136 degrees. And D, what is D? This D is the parameter here. If everything is known here, DPN we have to find out. P is the applied force, it is known value. And theta is the angle between the opposite faces. It is already fixed, that is 136 degrees. And only parameter is D. So what is D? It is nothing but mean length of the two diagonals. So mean length of you are having two diagonals. So from that one, you have to find out the mean length of the diagonals. Okay, you have to take the average value of the two diagonals, then that will become the D. If you substitute 2p sine theta by 2 by d square, from this one you will get the DPN value. Okay, so I am repeating once again. It is a very simple formula. We know that DPN is equal to load by area of the indentation. So load is nothing but P. So how to find out the area of indentation? To find out the area of indentation, first we have to find out the mean length of the two diagonals. So you are having two diagonals. From that one you have to find out the mean length of the diagonals, and later you substitute, and that means you have to calculate the area of the indentation. If you calculate the area of indentation, you will get this formula, that is DPN is equal to 2p sine theta by 2 divided by d square. So in this one, everything is known except D. This P is applied force, it is known. Theta is a constant, that is nothing but 136 degrees, and D is the unknown value which we can find out from the impression or the indentation. If you substitute all the values in this one, you will get the DPN value, that is nothing but pyramid hardness number. So in this way, we will find out the pyramid hardness numbers in Vickers hardness test. Okay, so if you see what how the load will be applied, okay, so I already told you we have to apply the load gradually. So how to apply the load we will discuss. So the load on the plunger carrying the diamond is applied by cam. So how you will apply? By using a cam mechanism, which is rotated by a drum on which a wire carrying weight is wound. So here what we are discussing is how the load can be applied when you apply the load, because the load can be applied by using a cam, and that cam is rotated by a drum on which you are having a wire. For that wire you are having a weight. So the load and the time during which it is applied is mechanically controlled. So if you see the a drum and a wire carrying a load, and if you see the cam, all comes under mechanical elements. So how you are controlling the load and the duration of the load? Mechanically. So you are using mechanical elements here to apply the load as well as to control the load. So that's why here you are using a mechanical system to apply the load. Okay, this is how to apply the load in Vickers testing. That means which mechanism we are using generally. So the mechanism may be vary, but the test procedure will not vary. Here we are using some mechanical system. Somewhere you may use some hydraulic system. Somewhere you use some electric system. So whatever system you will use, the procedure will not change. Only the mechanism for the applying of the load will change. And if you go for the next slide, what are the advantages? So first we have to know the advantages. If you see, what is the advantage? Here we can measure more hardness materials. That means hardness of very hard materials, because we are using a diamond indenter. That is the main advantage. And here also we can use this one for smaller cross section, because you are using a pyramid type diamond indenter which is having small cross section at the edge. Okay, so because of that one we can use a smaller cross section materials also. And limitations. So what are the limitations we are having, and what are the disadvantages we are having? If you see here, Vickers hardness tests are much more complicated and expensive, either Rockwell or Brinell hardness. So this is the main disadvantage. If you compare Brinell and Rockwell hardness test with this Vickers hardness test, the cost will be more. Why the cost will be more? And it is very complicated, because you have to cut the diamond in such a way that it should have 136 degrees between the opposite faces, and it should have the quadrangular pyramid. Okay, it is a difficult task. That is the complicated thing. And the second one is, you are using a diamond indenter. Already we know that diamond is very costly, so it is an expensive process. So that's why when you compare with Rockwell or Brinell hardness, we can say that this Vickers hardness test is much costlier. Okay, so it is the main disadvantage. And the limitations. So the limitations means, can we use for all, or can we use, if any limitation is there, size limitation, all these things, if it may be considered as semi-micro hardness tester. Okay, because we are using a diamond indenter, you are getting small impressions. Because of that one, we may treat it as semi-micro hardness tester. Micro, without microscope we are unable to see those things. Those are called as micro observations. Okay, so here you are using a semi-micro observations. That means because of the diamond indenter, you are getting small impressions or small indentations. Because of that one, we are unable to observe the things with a naked eye. So what we have to do, we have to use a microscope. So simply we can say that it is a semi-micro hardness test. Okay, this is the disadvantages and limitations we are having. Okay, so this is the procedure for Vickers hardness test. So which type of materials it will be useful, and which type of diameter you are using, and what is the procedure, and what are the advantages, disadvantages, and if any limitation is there, you have to mention. Okay, so this is very, very important in the exam point of view. And if you come into the most important hardness testing method, that is Rockwell hardness test. If you see the Rockwell hardness test, so this is most widely used Rockwell hardness test in the industry. Okay, so what we will do here, Rockwell testers use much smaller penetrators. So these indenters are very small compared to your Brinell hardness. Okay, that is the advantage of this Rockwell hardness. And Rockwell hardness testers are use a ball indenter of 1/16 inch to 1/12 inch and a cone shaped diamond. Okay, in the Vickers hardness, you are using a which type of diamond indenter using? You are using a pyramid shaped diamond indenter. Whereas in Rockwell hardness test, you are using a diamond indenter which is having a shape of cone. Okay, that is the difference between Vickers hardness and Rockwell hardness. So we know that what is the difference between a pyramid and a cone, right? So the same we have to remember while explaining this Rockwell hardness and the Vickers hardness. Here, if you see the steel bar also, you are using very small size. It is 1/16 inch to 1/12 inch. Okay, So 1 inch divided by 12 parts and 1 inch divided by 16 parts. So that means how much you are getting, very less amount of value you are getting. That means we are using small indentators or small penetrators in this Rackwell hardness, which gives the advantage over your Brinell hardness test. And if you see here, so for testing of materials, metallic materials, generally we will use 1 by 16 inch steel ball and diamond penetrator mostly commonly used. Okay, you can use this one or you can use this one. So the penetrator check is mechanically connected to a dial indicator with respect to vertical motion of the penetrator. So when it is moving, okay, so you will get, it is connected to a dial indicator and you can record that vertical motion of the penetrator. And the test has several scales of hardness, that is A, B, C, N and T. Even though if you are having 5 scales, the important scales are B and C only. Only B and C scales are widely used here. So if you see here, we can use 1 by 16 inch steel ball indenter or a diamond indenter. And here you are having a dial gauge which is connected to the vertical motion of the penetrator. So it can record the vertical motion of the penetrator. And this test has several hardness scales, that is A, B, C, N and T. Even though if we are having 5, though most important are B and C only. So we are having Rackwell hardness B scale as well as Rackwell hardness C scale. Okay, we will discuss about those things in the coming slides. If you see here, if you see this one, this is the Rackwell hardness tester. So how it is? You are having a base. On that base, you are having a, if you see here, this is the loads. So you are having a loads. For application of loads, you are having loads here. You may have hydraulic also, and you are having a overarm here. On that overarm, you are having, if you see here, you are having a dial gauge here, and this is the arrangement for attaching the penetrator or the indenter. And here you are having a elevated screw, and on that one you are having an anvil, and this is the hand wheel. So for rotating purpose of this elevating screw, so you have to keep the specimen onto the anvil and you have to rotate it slowly. And if you see here, this is the dial scale. If you see here, you are having a dial scale here. I will show you. If you see here, this is your dial scale. Okay. And if you see this one, this is that dial scale. So how, what you are having, if you see here, you are having a C scale and you are having B scale. And here you are having set scale. Okay. And if you see here, what is C scale and what is B scale? Generally, C scale will be in black color and B scale will be in red color. You have to remember, B scale will be in red color and C scale will be in black color. Okay. So in the competitive exams, they will ask, in Rackwell hardness test, the color of the C scale is black, the color of the B scale is red. So you have to remember these 2 points, which are very, very useful for the competitive examinations. Okay. So how to perform this B scale testing procedure and C scale testing procedure, I will show you. See, this is the Rackwell hardness tester. So just now we have you have seen, just now you have observed, that is what we can call a line diagram, but this is the actual Rackwell hardness tester. So if you see here, this is your hand wheel and you are having a elevating screw, this one, and this one, this is the anvil, and that one you are having a specimen. Here you are having a specimen. And if you see this one, this is the indent holder and this is the indent. It is a 1 by 16 ball in 1 by 16 inch ball indenter or cone shaped diamond indenter. And this is your scale. This is your scale. That is the dial indicator. So what is the test procedure? I will show you. So the specimen is placed on the anvil of the machine and the penetrator is seated by means of 10 kg of minor load. Okay. So first what we have to do to remove the, if any unwanted, if some grease or dirt, maybe, even though if you clean that one, you may some portion of the grease or dirt or oil may be present. So to avoid miscalculations, to avoid the incorrectness in the calculations, what we are doing, First, we have to apply a minor load which gives the indenter to penetrate into some extent and it will seeds into the specimen. So first what we have to do, you have to clean the specimen and you have to keep the specimen onto the anvil and you have to rotate it in such a way that it should touch the indenter, and later you have to apply a minor load of 10 kg. Why we are applying this 10 kg minor load? Because the indenter should seed into the specimen. That means you have to set the specimen to certain depth. That means it is a seating. And later what we have to do? So keep the dial indicator is 0. And later what we have to do? We have to keep the dial indicator as 0 and then apply the major load like 60 kg, 100 kg, 150 kg. And forcing the indenter into the specimen. So penetrator or indenter, what will happen? It will enter into the specimen. Upon the removal of the major load, the final depth of the penetration is recorded. So later what we have to do? We have to remove the major load and we have to find out the how much depth it is entered into the specimen can be recorded. And from that one, we will have a direct reading in the dial indicator that will gives the Rockwell hardness number. Rockwell hardness number. Okay, so this is the test procedure. I am repeating once again. So first, what we have to do, we have to keep the specimen onto the anvil and we have to rotate the handle such that it should touch the penetrator. And later we have to apply a minor load such that the penetrator should sit into the penetrator should sit into the specimen. And later we have to make the dial indicator value as 0 and we have to apply the major load like a 60 or 100 or 150 kg. And later we have to remove the major load. We have to find out the depth of penetration, which is directly we will get the hardness value from the dial indicator. So what is B scale and what is C scale and what is the formulas for that one? So B scale, if you see, so generally in the examination they will ask write short notes on B scale. So you are able to Rockwell B scale. So you are able to answer. So what is the color of B scale? Okay. So what is the color of B scale? It is nothing but red. If you see here, B scale is red, C scale is black. So B scale is marked in red and uses a steel ball indenter. So here, which type of indenter in B scale you are using? Steel ball indenter. It is used for soft materials. So generally B scale is used for soft materials and working range will be 0 to 100. And Rockwell number is obtained mathematically by by using this value. So RB is equal to 130 minus D into depth of indentation in mm. So depth of indentation can be found out from the dial indicator divided by 0.002. From this, by using this equation, we will find out the RB value. Okay. So what is the color of B scale? Red. And which type of indenter will be used? Steel ball indenter. And for which materials it can be used? Soft materials. What is the working range? 0 to 100. And how you will find out the Rockwell hardness number mathematically? That is 130 minus depth of penetration in mm divided by 0.002. Depth of penetration in mm will be given by small d. See this one. Okay. So this is the 1 by 16-inch steel ball indenter and this is the cone, diamond cone indenter. And if you see, the angle will be 120 degrees. How much angle? 120 degrees we should maintain. C scale. So C scale is marked in black and uses a diamond cone indenter with apex angle and it is used for hard materials for testing harder than B100. So which type, what is the color of C scale? Black. And which type of indenter used? Diamond cone indenter. And how much angle? Apex angle 120 degrees. And for which materials it can be used? Harder materials. And what is the range? More than 100. So with a diamond cone indenter and a total load of generally 150 kg will be used. What is the formula for the C scale? So RC is equal to 100 minus D by 0.02. Okay. So this is the value for Rockwell C scale. See here, minor load of 10 kg and major load of 150 kg applied and removed as shown below. If you see here, so this is your specimen. This is your specimen here, and you are applying a minor load here. So it is it is seated into the workpiece. Uh, it is seated into the specimen, and later you are applying a major load here. Okay, so major load, total load will become this plus this. So it is penetrated up to this level, and later if you see here, when you remove the load, because of the minor load, it is just moved back here, and this is your minor load. See here, this is the depth you are having, and this is the for major load. So this difference gives the E value. That means minor, the penetration when you apply the total load, and the penetration when you apply the minor load. So this minus this gives the when you apply the major load. So I'm repeating once again here. So first you have to take the specimen like this, and what you have to do, you have to apply a minor load of 10 kg, and what will happen, this indenter will penetrate into to some depth, this depth. See, this is the depth you are having. So how much depth you are having? You are having this much of depth with the dotted lines it is given. Later what we have to do, if you see here, you are applying a major load. So the minor load is already there and you are applying a major load. Because of this total load, what is happening? The indenter is penetrating to this one, this much. And you are removing the major load. And if you find out the difference, so this E value gives the penetration because of the penetration of the indenter because of this major load. What is the advantages? It is more flexible than Brinell hardness test and large number of combination of indenters we can have, and it is useful to test wide range of materials. So we can test a wide range of materials because we are using steel indenter as well as diamond indenter. And Rockwell testers fitted with a number of fixtures for testing different sizes and shapes. Okay, so the Rockwell tester is widely used because it is having advantages compared to other methods. And limitations. A greater care is required in the preparation of samples. So samples should be prepared properly and more sensitive as compared to Brinell test. And the sensitiveness is more in this test compared to your Brinell hardness test. Okay, so what we have discussed, what is hardness and what are the different types of hardness testing procedures are there. In that one, we have discussed Brinell hardness, Vickers hardness, and Rockwell hardness. In that one, Rockwell hardness, we have discussed what is B scale and what is C scale. These things we have discussed till now. And if you go for a small quiz here, so the lower loads are applied for measuring hardness of for softer materials. So lower loads, the time of loading of an indenter, generally how much time? It is 10 to 15 seconds. And the Vickers hardness number is given by 2p sin theta by 2 divided by d square. Okay. And the testing machine uses a square based diamond pyramid indenter with an included angle of, okay, how much angle? Pyramid, in the pyramid it is 136. For a cone it is 120. Okay, 120 degrees apex angle for a cone indenter, which is used in Rockwell hardness test. Whereas this pyramid type diamond indenter, which is used in Vickers hardness, will be, it is 136 degrees. B scale uses a ball indenter, steel ball indenter. Which type of scales are widely used? B and C. So these are the general questions they may ask. Explain how hardness is tested in Brinell hardness testing machine. So testing procedure on Brinell hardness testing, and brief account of Vickers hardness testing. List out the advantages and disadvantages of Vickers hardness testing. Applications of Vickers pyramid, and explain Rockwell hardness test and distinguish between B scale and C scale. So what is Rockwell hardness test and what is the difference between B scale and C scale? and list out the advantages and limitations of Rockwell hardness. And okay, so with this one, we have completed the destructive tests. Okay, if you see here, in the syllabus, what we are having, if you see here, so we have completed this non-destructive testing methods, and we are having non-destructive testing here. Here we are having non-destructive testing. Here we are having non-destructive testing. Here we are not having explanation of those methods, only introduction to this non-destructive testing. That means what is the purpose and what are the different methods we are having. That is just introduction to the non-destructive testing. So we'll discuss those things here. See, what is meant by non-destructive testing? What is meant by non-destructive testing? And what are the different non-destructive test methods available? We will discuss here. See, non-destructive testing. So already in the first sessions, of this testing procedures, we have discussed what is the difference between destructive testing and non-destructive testing. Okay, so we have discussed till now. We have discussed destructive testing procedures like tensile test, compression test, shear test, impact test, and hardness. All these things we have discussed, right? So in that one, what we are doing, we are going to fracture the component to find out the mechanical properties. But what about this non-destructive testing? Without destruction of the component, we are going to find out the faults in it. That means any flaws are there, any defects are there inside it. Without breaking it, we are going to find out by using this non-destructive testing. So that is the main purpose. So non-destructive testing is a means to define and locate the flaws. Flaws means defects in a material or a product without destroying, or defacing means without fracturing. Without fracturing, destroying or defacing are same meaning. Okay, and several non-destructive tests are available for the detection of the material without changing the physical and mechanical properties. So we are not changing the mechanical properties, we are not changing the physical properties. Okay, so without we are applying any load, in the sense we are not going to fracture them. We are not going to fracture them. We are not going to break them. We are not going to destroy them. So without destruction, we are going to find out what are the defects that are present in the materials we are going to discuss. Okay, so that is the main advantage of this non-destructive testing, and that is the main purpose. So what is the main purpose of non-destructive testing? Here we are not going to destruct the component, but without a destruction also we are going to find out the defects that are present in the components. So what is the main purpose? To find out the defects in the components. Without a destruction we are going to find out. So that is the main purpose of this non-destructive testing. And how many types of non-destructive testing procedures are there? See here. This is very important. Very important question. What is the first one? What is the purpose of non-destructive testing? So just now we have discussed the main purpose is, here we are not going to destruct any component. Without destruction also we are going to find out the defects that are present, whether it is that is surface defects or internal defects. You can find out the surface defects also, you can find out the internal defects also. Okay, so you may have cracks, you may have blowholes, you may have slag inclusions. Those both can be, that means surface as well as internal defects can be found out here. So what are the, if you see here, what we are going to, you are going to find out flaws, defects, cracks, and discontinuities any there in the material, in any component. We can find out by using these 6 type of methods, important methods. These 6 are important methods. That is visual inspection, dye penetrant test, magnetic particle detection test, and ultrasonic test, radiography test, and spark test. Okay, so here we are not having explanation of these methods in our syllabus as per C18 curriculum, but we should able to list out what are the methods we are having. What are the methods we are having? So once again we will repeat. What are those? First, visual inspection, liquid dye penetrant test, magnetic particle detection test, ultrasonic test, radiography test, and spark test. So with this one, we will find out the defects in the components. Okay. So based on this one, we will see some quiz. Which of the following is a non-destructive test? So tension test, destructive, penetrant test, non-destructive, Charpy IJAD, destructive, hardness, destructive. So which is the answer? Penetrant test. And magnetic particle inspection is conducted to ferroalloy components, non-magnetic components, copper alloys, nickel alloys. Which is the answer? See here, the limitation for a magnetic particle inspection is, so it should be a ferro element. That means it should have some magnetic nature, then only it can detect. So that's why it is having a limitation. So which is having magnetic properties? Ferroalloys. So ferroalloys is the answer. So what are the general questions they may ask from this such concept? So what is a non-destructive test? What do you understand by a non-destructive test? And what is the purpose of a non-destructive test? They may ask. So what is a non-destructive test and what is the purpose of a non-destructive test? And list out various non-destructive tests. So what are the various non-destructive tests you are having? So just now we have discussed, we are having 6 types of non-destructive tests are we are having. Okay. So those are non-destructive tests. See here, what are those non-destructive tests we are having here? I will show you once again because it is very, very important. Visual inspection, dye penetrant test, magnetic particle detection test, ultrasonic test, radiography test, and spark test. Okay. So with this one, what we have did is we have completed the first unit. So just we will go for the syllabus what we have discussed till now. See, if you take the unit one, what you are having in that one, we are having mechanical properties and testing of engineering materials. In that one, so from the first session onwards, what we have discussed, if you see here, in the first session we have discussed what is meant by engineering materials and what are the importance of engineering materials and what is the classification of engineering materials and what are the applications of engineering materials we have discussed. Later we have discussed the property spectrum, and in that one for a mechanical engineer the mechanical properties are very, very important, and we have discussed mechanical properties. So we have discussed tensile strength, compressive strength, ductility, malleability, hardness, toughness, brittleness, impact strength, fatigue creep. All this comes under mechanical properties, and we have discussed elaborately all these properties, and we are able to define what are these properties are, and we are able to list out as well as we are able to define. And if you come to testing of engineering materials, if you come to the testing of engineering materials, if you see here in the testing of engineering materials, first we have discussed what is meant by testing of materials and how many types of testing procedures are generally there in broad sense. So we have discussed destructive testing procedures and non-destructive testing procedure, and what is the difference between a destructive testing procedure and non-destructive test procedure. And later we have discussed tensile test procedure, compressive test procedure, shear test procedure, and later we have discussed the salient features of stress strain diagram for a ductile material and a brittle material, and what are the points that are present on the stress strain diagram and what is its importance we have discussed. And later we have discussed the hardness of the material and how to find out the hardness of a material by using different testing methods. Here, if you see, in the hardness testing methods, we are having different types of hardness testing methods. That is Brinell hardness test, Vickers hardness test, Rockwell hardness test. In the Rockwell hardness test, in the Brinell hardness test, if you see the Rockwell hardness test, in this Rockwell hardness test, we are having 2 types of scales, B scale and C scale. And so what is the difference between B scale and C scale? That means how the procedure may change when you use B scale and how the procedure may change when you use C scale. Those things we have discussed. And also we have discussed how to find out the impact strength of the material and what are the different types of test procedures that are available to find out the impact strength. We are having 2 types, that is IJAD test and Charpy test. Okay. So how to perform IJAD test and how to perform Charpy test? Is there any difference between IJAD test and Charpy test? Also we have discussed. Okay. And later, after completion of this destructive test, So we are having a small concept on non-destructive testing, that is just introduction to non-destructive testing. So in the introduction of non-destructive testing, what we have discussed what is meant by non-destructive testing and what is the purpose of non-destructive testing and what are the different methods that are available for non-destructive testing procedure we have discussed. Okay, what are the different non-destructive test methods we are having already just now we have discussed, that is visual inspection, liquid penetrant test, ultrasonic test, radiography, spark test, all these things comes under magnetic particle test. Okay, all this comes under non-destructive test. So here in this one, what we have to do, just you have to concentrate on the what is the purpose of that test and uh, what are the different methods that are available for uh, conducting the test under non-destructive testing. Okay, so with this one we have completed unit 1 successfully, and in the coming sessions we are going to discuss second unit, that is structure of materials. So with this one I am closing this session pertaining to unit 1.